Good start. Right, I know we said in the first video that the next thing we're going to do was fitting all the AV stuff, but unfortunately it's freezing. So today we're fitting a high quality diesel heater, because yeah, it's really cold in here, so we're going to fit one of these just so it's a little bit more temperate while we're doing the other bits and bobs around the RV. Yeah, why don't we start with showing you what one of these is and why you might want one. Okay, right, this is a diesel heater. These are quite common in van conversions, motorhomes use them as well, and truckers love these things because apparently they don't burn a ton of fuel for the heat they put out or use too much electricity. So you put some diesel in the top here, and then connect up to a battery, and then it should, just using a bit of ducting pipe at the front into the cabin, should provide us with a decent amount of heat. It's not going to heat the entire RV, that's just not reasonable, but at least for the front area it will allow the interior to remain at least semi-warm. There was already a diesel heater in this thing previously, but as far as we could tell it just didn't work, so we're gonna just install a fresh one and we'll just go from there. This is just so... That's why you need a script. You really do need scripts. You might be thinking, why do you need one of these? Surely the RV's already got heating built in, and it does. Problem is, we're in storage at the moment, so there's no electrical hookup to the site. There is a generator on board, as I mentioned in the previous video, so you can get heat and air stuff blowing through. Trouble is, at the moment we can't figure out why the generator isn't charging the battery it's taking power from. So it obviously runs for a few minutes and then it'll eventually just conk out. Plus it's not particularly efficient, it's quite power hungry. Something like this will be good as something to, while we're working in here, and also just as when we're out and about as a backup, we just need heat. This will be a great way to have at least some level of comfort in here without needing to use a ton of fuel or electricity. Oh. No, there's 2 more screws. There we go. Now you can see get a better look of how these things actually look. So like I said, they seem to be all roughly the same. This is a no-name Chinese brand of these. There are branded ones of these, but they look kind of the same, and they cost, well, some of them I was looking at were over £1,000 one of these, so we'll see if the quality is actually any good. Some of them you buy do only have this bit, which is the actual heaters. That's the bit that does all the work. And then you have to hook up to a jerry can or something like that. Some of them also do come with a fuel tank that's separated completely, so that'd be good if you've got like an outhouse, a shed, something like that, a garage where you want to put the tank somewhere else. This one I thought was good because in a fairly compact box, we've got the tank already installed, and it means I can then have this running, go off to a petrol station, get more diesel, put it in if I need to. But as far as I can tell, a lot of them, the base bit, the bit that does all the work, is basically the same. So there's that electrical connector for the control panel, which we may have to extend and reroute. That's basically it. Now I've got to put that back together. Okay, right. There are a few things you want to get if you're doing a job like this, wiring in something new, which I think it will come in handy for all matter of jobs, but for this is essential. The first one is one of these. This is a wire stripper, proper wire strippers. These are really cheap, there's no reason not to have one of these. These also have wire cutters on them. They also do, a lot of them have a crimping tool on them as well. So they're a really handy tool. You can adjust how thick the wire is that you're stripping, and you literally put your wire in like that and then go like that and it strips it. Really nice and easy, it just makes everything a lot quicker and a lot neater. So that is an essential. You can get a separate crimping tool. The reason you might want one of these is because a lot of them, they'll lock like that, so you can really get some pressure on it if you really need to crimp it down. Again, if you're getting one of those of the actual wire strippers, they do come with crimping tools, a lot of them, but one of these, again, cheap, doesn't really matter. The other thing you could do with is a multimeter. So these are handy. This is going to come in handy, I'm sure, across the whole RV. But just to, especially if you plug it all up and there's no power, it's not working, you can trace your wires back, see where you're getting 12 volts, that sort of thing. So that's essential. The other thing you're going to want to do is obviously then things like wiring. So wire, and then your your connectors. This is not going to be how the end game of wiring this in is going to be. I'll show you how we're going to wire it in properly in a second, but these are just male and female connectors. They connect in like that, and then you put one wire in that way, one wire in that way, and then you crimp them down so they're nice and secure. Relatively weather tight, but there is some exposed metal, so that's why I'll explain why that's not perfect in a minute. What you do want to do with wiring and connectors is make sure you're getting stuff that is the right ampage. So the diesel heater, when it's running, apparently uses 3 amps of current. But when you're starting it up, or I guess when it's priming and getting going, it can use 15 amps of current. So that's how much current energy is being pulled through that wire and your connectors, switches, if you're going to hot hook one of them up. So you need to get wire and connectors that are rated for the same or higher ampage. So this wire is 17 amp cabling. Because if your cable's too low, you run the risk of overloading the cable. It could heat up, in severe cases can catch fire. So you need to make sure you're getting cable that is rated for a higher ampage or the same ampage of what you're trying to power. And wire and connectors like this are really cheap, but like I said, this will just be a temporary way of getting the thing working. What we're actually going to do when we fit it is use these. So these are no solder soldering kits. So this is how they look. It comes in a variety of different sizes and different ampages, again, for whatever you're wiring up. I will show you an example of that now. Again, wire stripper to show you how good this stuff is. I've really made a mess of that table, haven't I? Put the wire in, and there you go. With one swipe, although annoyingly I need a bit more wire strip than that, but I will show that now. There we go. Same wire. There we go. The no solder, which I've now misplaced. You take this end and thread it through like that, thread it all the way through. You then take your wire that you're gonna sort of solder. Well, obviously this would be red and red in this case. You wouldn't hook up red to black, but you know, you get my point. Twist these together, twist these together. People twist wires. Okay, once your wires are twisted like that, you then put this over, put the solder bit in the middle of those two, and then using a heat gun, get up to a certain temperature, melt that solder and create a nice even solder, and then at the same time this bit of plastic around it would shrink, creating a weather-tight seal. Absolutely amazing stuff. No one likes soldering, so that is a really nice clean way of doing wiring properly. The only reason I'm not doing it right now is because, again, the whole problem of we don't have power here. I've only got a heat gun that runs off of a 3-pin AC plug. We haven't got any AC power in this at the moment. These kits, really cheap. Get them on eBay, Amazon, places like that. I'd say an essential for something like this. I think that's all our equipment we need. Okay, so this is where the diesel heater is going to go. Inside here, if you can have a look, we have got a tray down here, which was where the original diesel heater lived. This one is a bit bigger, but I think we can adapt this, and we may have to mount it a bit lower down. This one's a lot taller. I don't want it to block the radiator or anything. We've got some horrible old wiring to clear up, so we'll probably do a bit of a time lapse on that. For some reason, they decided to mount the old one from the 12-volt light that's sitting up here for the engine bay. I don't know why they did that. I guess it was just quicker and easier, but we're going to wire it all properly, as I said, to the batteries full length. So first, let's see if we can get this in here. I wonder where they put the hole. Probably that way around, actually. Oh, like a glove. Right, there you go, installed. Right, so we've offered up the exhaust with a cute little muffler on it, and that's your intake. So you see that thing that keeps bashing on the head, that's your filter, essentially, just so it doesn't suck in any rubbish from the air into the engine bit, and that hopefully will keep it nice and quiet. So now we're going to offer that up into there. Right. Yeah. We've had to bodge it a bit. This little black bit, that's what actually came with the heater itself. I thought this was like one of those extending things you could flex around. No, it's rigid, it just bends very slightly. This horrible pipe, that was what was in there originally, which they bodged themselves. And then that black bit on the end, that's what they put into the original cabin. So we've adapted it so that it will fit. It's rough, it's horrible, but it'll have to do for now. Just, again, get some heat into the RV. I'm sorry. You can see how they wired it. There's the 12-volt light for the engine bay. There's its normal feed. Extend that so you can see it a bit better. Yeah, they've literally just spliced into that 12-volt feed to then power the old heater, and it's all been. It's rough. It's rough. So we're gonna clear that out now. No, please strip. I'll see how good these things are. They won't strip the wire. Whoa, that's a bit much. That we'll just trim that back a bit. I have butchered that. No! I think it's like that, because I'm so good at it to camera. There we go. And that just goes in there like that. And then you just... that's now stuck. It's crimped. Now I can't release. Oh no, maybe you could pull that back and it releases it. I can't.
Please keep this in the edit.
Yeah, I'll keep it in. Much trial and error. That's how it should look. So you've got a male end and a female end of your crimp connectors. So that's what the crimping tool's for. The reason we're doing this, by the way, is obviously because the one that comes with the diesel heater is actually relatively short. Now, if you're in a normal van or something like that, that probably wouldn't be too much of an issue. But for us, the batteries are like 3 meters that way. We need to extend the wires. That just slides in like that. Again, you might want to, we will tidy this up because it's not weather tight. So we will do some covering for that. Again, this is only a rough build just while we see how it does. Right, now we'll do the black wire. So we did the same for the black wire, as you can see, same as the red wire. So where this little crimp is, that was the original wire, and then obviously we've then extended it, pushed it all the way through there, and then up through the hole in the cabin. We've hooked up the new controller now. There's that ducting I mentioned, so you can see there's the new bit, old bit, and then into the cabin. So now, if we come on through, helps if you unlock it, Tom. Right, okay, coming in. So then what we've done is then that wire comes through there, all those two wires, you can see that, the red and black. We've put the black on a ground point underneath the dashboard, and then the red wire, this looks rough, I know, but because we're running out of light, we've had to just sort of snake it through the floor, past all this stuff you can't see, straight onto the battery. Right there, and the door just slammed against it. We will probably end up snaking this red wire underneath the RV, so then it can come up through a hole where all the other battery terminals are. Once we do all the electrics, it may be a case that we install like a 12-volt fuse board for the DC 12-volt stuff, and this might then have a fuse and a piece on that. This is just to get some heat in, but if I quickly show you what we have done as well, there's that vent, so that's the pipe, the ducting from the diesel heater. This piece of HVAC, this is what I thought the diesel heater came with, this kind of flexible HVAC pipe. This bit is part of the sort of RV's original climate control, which does work, obviously all your what you'd have in a car, you know, fan speed, temperature, aircon, all that sort of stuff. We've taken out this vent. It just looks quite clean. What we'll do, so there's that, we might just sort of make a cut, once we've got new HVAC pipe, make a cut in this piece of pipe here, shove that into there, seal it up with something that's heat resistive, and then put this back in, and then it will look completely stock, and that'll be a nice sort of concealed install. For now, we've got other projects to crack on with. That will do for now. The RV's not going anywhere for a little while yet. So now we're going to get it all turned on and see if it works. Okay, moment of truth. Oh, it's already on. So I guess if you hold that down, and there you go. All these ways you can select the temperature. There we go, so we can now select the temperature. Let's come off of that. And then heat, level 6. You should hear this clicking to say it's sort of priming, getting the ignition going. Ah, there we go. So you can see there, that's now come on. So that's now, I think, it sort of priming itself. And then in a minute, it should start pushing hot air into the cabin. Right. Okay, diesel heater has been running for, I'd say, about half an hour now, and I would describe the heat it's putting out as adequate. If I put my hand there, that's hot air, really hot air, but it's not uncomfortable. I can just keep my hand there. I'd have liked it to be putting out more heat. Maybe it does after a certain amount of time, but I think by now it would have got hotter, and that is on full blast. It's on the highest fan speed, and it's on the highest heat. But already in here, it is a lot warmer, and I'll show you that now. So if we turn around here, so what I've done is I've shut this door. If I now open this door and step through here, yeah, absolutely night and day. It's freezing in this bit, as I'll try and demonstrate now. Yeah, that is, as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of served, it's doing its purpose. It's just keeping this area warmer. And I have no doubt in my mind, if you left that running for an hour plus, it would make this area really quite warm, and you might have to turn it down. If I show you, this area here is what tells you, so if I press this button, 12 volts. That's been at 12 volts ever since we hooked it up, so it doesn't seem to have drained the voltage too much. But yeah, so that's the chassis batteries, that's the bit that drives all the engine and bits like that. And yeah, it's not draining too much power, so I have no reason to believe you couldn't leave that running for a number of hours before it does any sort of major draining, which is really good. So that's going to be perfect for when we're doing all the AV stuff and other bits that we need to do in here, so there is a fair bit. That will do the job nicely. Right, so I don't really know what we've learnt in this video. It's been a bit of a hodgepodge, hasn't it, really? But at least there is now heat coming into the RV, which means I can now start on the more exciting stuff, which I can give you a preview of right now. I'll show you this. We've already taken this apart. Obviously, we're going to build a new tabletop on here so we can create like a desk. That hole was already there. I don't know why that's there. There is a hole in the floor, which we will patch over, because the reason we're doing that is a subwoofer. So this is a perfect size. Will go in there like, oh that's just cracked that wood. Didn't eat that wood, it's alright. This thing's quite heavy. Fits like a glove. Right, let me show you what we're going to do then with this. So you can see there, subwoofer, look at that. That's a real good fit, that is. So this side, there is a vented piece that already is here, which we do need to repair a little bit, but that'll allow us to get to some of the controls at the back of the subwoofer. You open the door. Obviously, it won't be blocked like this. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this door in half, and then this bit will just be the grill for the subwoofer, and then in this bit we'll build a shelf. You can't lose any storage space. Storage space is key in one of these, so that when you shut that door, it'll be a half door, and then this will be a grill. Hopefully that doesn't rattle. I know some people might say, well, that's going to rattle, but well, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see if it does. If it does, we'll have to come up with something else. Yeah, I think that will be a nice way to conceal it and allow us to have some nice shaky bass. Sun is right in my face. So I'm just going to give that another crimp. Just going to give that another little... This really isn't going as smoothly as I thought it would. I thought this would be a quick 5-minute job.